Hey, this is Dawn Reby from Excellence in Analytics, and I'm about to share with you the podcasts that you want to listen to. So I've looked around everywhere throughout the world to find the best crime analysis podcasts, and I'm going to share them with you. I'm going to share all the links with you as well, right down below. You can just click on the link and get directly to that podcast. But let me go ahead and share my screen here and show you the greatness that is all around us. So we'll start with this one here. This is Leo Podcasts. This is the Jason Elder podcast, and also with Seth. With Seth, it's the small steps, which is kind of like Excel and some technical training. Really nice. So Jason and Mindy, they do a great job of bringing on analysts, listening, sharing their success stories, and really helping us to grow as an industry. So you can see they have some great analysts, Ashley Hood, she's wonderful. Michelle Snow, the analyst with a gun, really looking in Osborne tapes. Deb Osborne, we'll get to her pretty soon. Really some great analytical influencers here that you want to be listening to. So why do we listen to podcasts? We want to really fuel our knowledge, to understand what's outside of our little box. So this is a great podcast that you want to add to your learning every single week. Along those same lines, we have the UK version of this with Paige. She is phenomenal, and I love her accent. She is part of the ACIA podcast. And so this is really a wonderful collaboration, right? A wonderful collaboration with LEAP and ICIA, where they pulled together some really wonderful speakers relative to crime analysis. So you can see here, ICIA Africa series, crime analysis from between the tropics. I mean, this is great stuff, analysts. You really want to be paying attention to this stuff. So there's quite a few of these in here, and so quite a few great people on here talking about crime analysis outside of US. And so I've been on this podcast too in here, and I know many US people have, and also other countries. So Paige does a wonderful job of getting excellent speakers on here. So go ahead and plug this in to your reading list or listening list. Okay, here's the next one. And again, I'm going to give you all the links, okay? I've done all the digging for you. These are the podcasts you want to pay attention to. You want to click on, you want to save, you want to pay attention to, listen to in the shower, and as you're walking, as you're running, as you're driving to work, whatever it is. Carve out some time, maybe on Fridays, and listen to one podcast a week or two podcasts a week. Fuel your brain, fuel your spirit. Okay, so this is another great one. This is the Analyst Corner. So Deb Osborne puts these together. She's just brilliant. She does a phenomenal job. And on this particular one, she has a conversation with Christopher Bruce, who's an industry leader. So these are the people that you want to be listening to. When you want to be like somebody, you want to listen to how they think and listen to the things that they do. And so Christopher Bruce, Deb Osborne, these are leaders in industry that we want to emulate. So go ahead and listen to some of their podcasts here. And so you can see crime prevention through environmental design, qualitative analysis, all the things. So get in on Analyst Corner. So what we're talking about here are the best crime analysis podcasts that you have to tune into should you want to be in the analytical world. So the next one is my friend Manny San Pedro out in Canada, all about analysis. Manny is so fun. You should listen to some of these. They're got music to them. They're very exciting, and he brings you really these transformational ideas, right? Tips and tutorials is in there, Excel, Access, that kind of thing, but also an officer's perspective, stuff for the leaders. He does a great job of providing all kinds of great analytical analyses, analytical podcasts for the analysts, all right? So make sure you take a look at that. Now, here's one for the leaders, right? So if you're an analytical leader or you're a leader in policing, the Cop Doc podcast by Dr. Steve Morielli. This is a great podcast. He really does a wonderful job. He's a retired police officer, and he has a bunch of commissioners, police chiefs, academics here in his podcast, where he's really talking about how can we bridge academics in the application of law enforcement. They're about 30 to 35 minutes long, not too long, but incredible insight and wonderful people. I've gotten a lot of book referrals this way. So I go in, I listen, and I grab the books that these great authors, these great leaders in industry are sharing. Oh, there I am. He's had me on, which is really nice. Dave Lambert out of Rhode Island, really doing great work with Roger Williams University. All kinds of great people on here to talk about shifts, major shifts in policing and how that impacts all of us. And he has a love of crime analysis. So be sure to tune yourself in to the Cop Doc podcast. Another excellent podcast. So Reducing Crime overall is a pretty good podcast, but I have a couple in here where it's specific to crime analysis, and I'll give you those direct links. Okay, so this is Jeff Asher. It talks about crime data and crime analysis, and he's from this place, the data analytics firm, Data Analytics, and so this episode really goes into data analytics, how we can really utilize it effectively and efficiently. So number 54 with Jeff Asher, Reducing Crime. I really like this one. There's another one I like by Reducing Crime, and this Reducing Crime is a monthly podcast, so you can tune in at any point. There's lots of great presenters on there and lots of great podcast guests on there. But another one I really liked was Jerry Radcliffe. He has just some wonderful information for analysts. He's really a proponent of analysts and has some technologies for analysts. So you can see that there's all kinds of great people who are listed here on this podcast as well. So this is a bigger picture podcast that you can listen to understand the world of criminology and how crime analysis plays a role. So this is a brand new one I started listening to. This is called The Hero Maker, and I actually listened to this Jennifer Morrison, Commissioner Jennifer Morrison, off of Steve Morreale's podcast, and she has her own podcast, The Hero Maker, and she finds every opportunity to highlight great successes in policing. So this is a really wonderful one if you want to understand how policing works and how analytics. She's a huge analytics fan as well, I believe, according to the podcast. And so really some good information. So I'm new to this podcast, but I like it so far. Okay, so let's see. There's another one called The Aftermath Philadelphia, a podcast examining the impact of gun violence. So this one's pretty nice because you can actually, they do a good job of bringing on detectives, bringing on other, lieutenants, captains, and so forth to really talk about, ways that we're changing in law enforcement, right? And so you can see episode here, number 23, changing the stigma, and episode 22, respect is a big thing. So he really gets into how we can move forward as police agencies, but he has an interest in crime analysis. So this one called, it's episode 16, Data, Numbers, and Crime Analysts. I really like what he does here, talking about analytics, talking about NYPD, and I believe Deb Peel is on here. It's possible, yes, she is. Deb Peel is on this one. Deb Peel is another person you want to follow. She does a tremendous amount of work in the law enforcement analytical environment. She's one of the leaders in industry. So any podcasts with her in it, you're sure I'll be listening to those. All right. And the last one I want to show you is our YouTube page, Excellence in Analytics. And we have lots of it's kind of like a podcast, right? YouTube pages. If you kind of scroll on over, you'll see that there's a whole playlist for law enforcement analyst training. So CompStat practices, what do you do with a crime series, public speaking, 5 things analysts must do now, all the things. How to speak for analysts, conference success tips, why police chiefs need CAD data, why we need to analyze RMS data, what crime analysis is, job applications, all the things, right? So we have a training module called Law Enforcement Analysis Training. We have another, it's called a playlist. We have another playlist for the leaders, right? We have productivity playlists, creating boundaries for law enforcement playlists, and you can keep on scrolling over and see we have a leadership growth right here. So these are, if you're a leader in law enforcement analysis or in law enforcement or just a leader overall, right? So the top 5 leadership characteristics for new leaders in policing, finding your pause, solution to gaps. We have some great guest speakers on here. Book authors, Mike Marino, Dave Mather, just big in the field, Annie Mitchell, another big name in crime analysis. And so we have a lot of folks here who are helping us support the law enforcement community through just phenomenal podcasts. So if you don't already listen to podcasts, get some of these on your calendar or just click on some of the buttons that I put below. And while you're down there, go ahead and click on subscribe if this was helpful for you. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this share. Say if this is helpful for you, if you want someone else to tell you the great videos that are out there, the great YouTubes and podcasts that are out there, then I'll continue to dig and I'll continue to deliver that to you. Next, we're going to have the top resources for crime analysis, where you can go to find training that's low cost or free, where you can go to find a very specific articles that are very helpful for crime analysis, and so much more. So see you next time.